Hello and welcome to this slightly impromptu and definitely unplanned video, which is about Waves having moved to a subscription model. So I got the email yesterday, done some looking into it, etc., and just wanted to A, give you my thoughts on it, and B, hopefully allay a possible fear about this, which you may have. So as you can see on screen, Waves, if you go to waves.com, the main thing which is plugged is Waves Creative Access, the subscription model. If you go to the Start Free Now button, you get to the subscription page. And you can see there are two options available, ignoring whether or not you pay monthly or annually. Waves Essential, which is $15 a month, which is, to me, I think that's a significant amount of money already. Or Waves Ultimate, which is $24 or $25 a month. That's a reasonable amount of money, particularly, obviously, at the moment, with certainly in the UK, bills being a major problem and inflation being a problem in the UK. This is obviously less than, significantly less than my energy bills, but that's the kind of the price of my broadband bill, etc. That's way more than my mobile phone bill, etc. This is a significant amount of money. Now, obviously, if you're using all those plugins all the time, maybe that will be worthwhile for you. So it's the kind of thing that if you are using those all the time, $25 a month, maybe not the end of the world, but it does add up. I mean, if you pay annually, you get it for 10 months worth. So it's $250 a month. That would have bought you Waves' average price, because they were always on sale, they were always messing around, etc. That would have bought you 8 or 10 plugins to own perpetually. I own quite a few Waves plugins. We'll see them in a bit, but I own quite a few Waves plugins. I don't use all of them all the time. In fact, let's have a look at what is included in these packages, because my suspicion is that the ones that you would want are not in the Essential, they're in the Ultimate. So probably the ones I use most are the Abbey Road plugins. So I've got the Abbey Road collection. I use the EMI channel and I use the ADT plugin more than anything. And surprise, surprise. Yep. It's included in the Ultimate subscription. So you have to pay $25 a month to get these plugins. They are really good plugins, or the ones that I use are. So I say I use Chambers and I use the EMI channel and the ADT. ADT I use a fair bit, and also vinyl. So I do use these quite a lot. Not in everything I do, but they are definitely the plugins that I probably go for when I'm in someone else's studio and then realize they don't have it, particularly the ADT one. It's really useful to me. Let's look at some of the other big names. So let's look at Chris Lord-Alge and see. Yep, Ultimate subscription. I would think we'll probably find this with any of his others. Nope. Okay, so Echosphere is in Essential and Ultimate, so that's at least good news, because that's another one that I use reasonably regularly. Let's look at Tony Maserati as well. So Tony Maserati, so one of his plugins here is in both. No, I can't spell. Okay, so that's some good news there. So some of his plugins are certainly keyboard issues. Are all of them? Okay, so this one, for instance, is in Ultimate. So you'll probably find some of them will be in Ultimate only. You know, they're certainly the ones that I would use would be. Let's look at the Create sampler as well, because that was quite an interesting thing. Hopefully that will be in the, so that's in the Essential. But I would think most of the ones which are most desirable will be in the Ultimate one. And this is one of the problems that I think Waves has always had, because their collections, you get some good plugins in there, but a lot of it is just sort of things that probably haven't been updated in a long time. They might have been cool 15, 20 years ago. Now they're just, they're workmanlike, but there's lots of other options for them. There's some which I haven't found as good an ADT plugin, certainly available for free, than that. So often if I'm in someone else's studio, either I'd need to temporarily install my Waves plugins, which is handy because you can have them on a dongle, or use a free and inferior alternative. So this is one of those problems. Now, One of the things I wanted to look at, and hopefully to allay your fears, is about your plugins that you've bought. So if we have a look at Wave Central, we can see if you update Wave Central to the current version, you will get, obviously, they are going to trail this fairly heavily. So, you go to Wave Central, you get this, please buy our stuff, subscribe, etc., because this is their new model. This is what they've tied their business to. But if we go to install products, you do still get the option to install them. Okay, so if you bought them, as you can see here, I've got the Abbey Road ones I was talking about, etc. You still get the option to install them. So let's just see that does actually work. So let's just install the channel on this Mac. Say I use them on my main DAW. I don't normally use them on this Mac. I haven't installed them on this Mac yet, but we'll see whether or not this works. Now, this is one of those things where Waves has always had a bit of a problem because they have their different versions. I've got some which I think go back to version 10, but version 14 is the current one at the time of writing. They've always had this upsell on their maintenance program that they call it, which really the only advantage it gives you is that when they come up with a new version, so ones with resizable UIs, etc., which version 14 promised, then that would be what you would get, etc. Clearly, there will be V15. They will be mostly available to subscription-only people. Some of these things I have updated recently, so maybe my 1 year's worth of updates will come with that. But as we can see, you can still install your purchased licensed plugins, and they say that will not change. Certainly, we hope that is the case, because the first thing that I saw when I saw the email that they sent was that you would no longer be able to access your previously purchased plugins, because it said from today the only way to buy, or I think it said the only way to access Waves plugins was to have a subscription, and it sort of implied that you wouldn't be able to use those. But if you read further down, anything you've bought you will still be able to use at the current version that you've got, and if you have an update plan in place, it will keep going until it expires. So maybe some of these I'll get to version 15, etc. To be honest, I'm not that worried about that, because generally the versioning has introduced features that I wasn't that fussed about. In fact, their plugin preset management that they introduced, I didn't think was particularly good. It's one of those things where, their idea of an improvement isn't my idea of an improvement, and resizable user interfaces are the main things that I'm interested in, but there we go. So that's just the news. If you're not a Waves user, I don't think it will be a problem. I'm not sure how well this will go down. Certainly from what I've seen, it's not been popular, but then with things like this, the people who speak up are the people who are giving a negative opinion. Certainly for me, it's a moderately negative opinion, particularly because you can't just have a few plugins. I say, most of the Waves offerings are meh plugins. I don't really care that much about them. I might try them here and there, but often there are better alternatives available. There's a few here and there, say the ones you can see on screen, actually, the Abbey Road ones are the ones that I use the most. There aren't alternatives that I know of that are as good as these, which is why I use them. But the vast majority of Waves plugins that I've got, if somebody said you can never use them again, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. I would probably just find alternatives, in the same way that when Cubase made the 32 to 64-bit changeover, there was only really one plugin which I've not found a suitable replacement for, and that was Short Circuit, the sampler. My point is that I think for a lot of people, this will just make Waves irrelevant. If you are a occasional hobbyist, an amateur user, and I mean amateur in the positive sense, I don't mean it in terms of, you are amateurish as the insult goes. What I mean is amateur in terms of you being somebody who does it for the root of the word, which amat means love in Latin, as I distantly remember from having done Latin for a year when I was at school. And that's what I'm saying when I mean amateur. If you're somebody who just does this as a hobby, you like doing it, but you don't want to spend $15, $25 a month on getting these sounds, I think a lot of people will walk away. Now, clearly they've done market research. They know that they've got people who are entrenched, embedded in their ecosystem, who use other platforms other than just DAW plugins, and they will have to subscribe because all of their workflow is around that. But if you're in the kind of position I am, you'll go, you know what? I'll keep the ones I've got. I'm not going to be paying that kind of money because I would rather save the money up and buy outright once a year, etc. Instead of that, I've had a Waves affiliate link on my channel for a few years, and thanks to anybody who has bought using that link, because I've actually used that to buy a few of the plugins, so the Create Sampler, etc., and a couple of other things in the past. I've actually got some balance on there at the moment, but I won't be able to spend it because you can no longer buy them. So that's just one of those things. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was probably enough to have bought one last plugin, which I no longer can do. But there you go. So hopefully, if nothing else, this has allayed your fears. If you do own any Waves plugins, that you still will be able to install them. I don't think that will go away. I think there would be much more uproar than there is at the moment, even though there's probably something in their license terms that would allow them to do that and just give you a refund or part refund or whatever, depending on how long you've had them. But that's not where we're at. So we will see how this develops over the next year or so. Waves have said that they are open to people's opinions on this, but I think that's open within a range of a certain amount of leeway. They're not going to go, hey, you know what, we're not going to have a subscription plan. They will have thought long and hard about this. This isn't something they came up with on Friday and released on Sunday. They've been thinking about this for a significant amount of time. Now, when you look back at the emails they were sending out about you needing to get any third-party bought licenses set up and on the site and taken care of before a certain date, now it all makes sense, because previously it was just one of those strange things. Probably the biggest upside from this is you're no longer going to get loads of emails about affiliate link, free plugins available if you sign up to this mailing list and this, that, and the other. And it also means, for me personally, I can unsubscribe from Waves mailing list, which is probably the second most spammy one on all of the things that I keep subscribed to. And you need to keep subscribed to them, unfortunately, because otherwise you'll miss something and there's no granularity in there. But now that I know that the only way in is to pay a significant amount of money, I can move away. So that will be nice. If nothing else, I hope this video has given you a bit of information about any plugins that you do already know. Obviously, there's plenty of information about Waves Creative Access elsewhere on the internet. And we'll see you again soon for more actual music tech tuition.